I'm talking fish fuck, baby. I'm gonna fuck you with a fish. Gotta love Guar.
There we go. There we go.
What are you saying? There we go.
Because it popped up. I see it. I see it live.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
They're going to... I already marked it explicit, man.
What's that?
Mark explicit.
Who marked it explicit?
I think you did. I don't know.
Not on purpose.
It already knows.
Maybe. I mean, it knows me. Do I know me or do I know me? All right.
Closing Facebook so I can speed this up. There we go. Hopefully my connection will remain unfettered.
Sorry, I'm doing a little sharing here. Just doing a little sharing. Already shared to the two groups.
How exciting.
Look at this. I'm going to switch to myself and I'm going to share to my page. See? Okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right. All right, I'm gonna lay that down there. Okay. I think we're good.
All right.
How is everybody doing today? Welcome to Free Market Screen Earth, episode number 40. I'm Nicky P here, as always, with the Liberty Hippie Ben. How are we doing there, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Nicky?
Well, I was really trying to
staying alive, washing your hands.
I was really trying to get you to watch that documentary because it is very difficult for me to care about politics right now, given everything that's going on in the world. None of it just seems important, you know?
Which documentary is that, Nick?
Oh, I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, dang, man. Plug it so everybody could watch it. We could talk about it next week together. It's like one big happy family, man.
Well, you've got to actually make that happen. I mean, it's not like I haven't. I've shared it.
I will watch it.
I've shared it from the page like 1,000 freaking times. So
I saw that every 2 days. I'm
trying.
It's one of those things.
It's so good. And let's be honest, like with the new world order and the way it is, I don't know how much I care about like our presidential race. I feel like we're gonna have a universal magistrate here in the next couple weeks, like someone coming out of, I don't know, Antarctica that just rules the world.
Little Elsa's coming down to show us what's up.
Let's not talk like that. My daughter will be all over that. But she'll be pledging allegiance to Elsa before the fucking we know it hits us.
It would be scary how many people probably would, just if someone came down and just make it all better with a big old fancy check and just worship them and suck their toes and the end of it.
Let's see where Ben's mind is. So at any rate, since we're speaking of supreme rulers, we've talked about, how do we incorporate the elections and all that kind of stuff into what we're talking about. And, lucky for us, Elizabeth Warren is no longer in the race.
Yes.
Because I don't know if anyone else knows this. Normally, when you go to a presidential candidate's website, they will have a page where they kind of give you all their policy. And, sometimes they'll have a page specifically for environmental policy. And there's usually a whole bunch of crap to weed through. Now, I'm pretty sure Elizabeth Warren had 18 pages, if I remember correctly. I'm probably wrong. It was a lot of fucking pages. Like, it was a gigantic list. And
I didn't try to print it out.
yeah, it would have been a book. Like it was page after page after page. I looked through everything on it, as much as I didn't care about it. But there was something else that we, so the minute I saw that, and she was out, it was like, we got to talk about all the bullets we dodged with Elizabeth Warren. But the fact of the matter is, we'd have to start an entire podcast specifically for that. Like we could talk every day for the next 2 years and still probably not cover everything that was in that fucking nonsense that was her, plan for the world. Because you know what they say, Elizabeth Warren's got a plan for that. Literally everything under the sun.
She does.
So
I wonder what her plan for the coup was.
Oh God, please don't.
Who would she tax to stop this? Yeah.
let's not tempt her.
Sorry.
At any rate, so the thing that is really crazy is that everyone had their Green New Deal plan, but Elizabeth, never to be outdone, she said, "I'll take your Green New Deal, and I'll raise you a Blue New Deal." Because 71% of the world is covered in oceans. And despite us not having any property right to them, we're going to hunker down and we're going to start doing shit with those oceans that we don't own. and Blue New Deal, here we come.
Yeah.
What did you say to me when you brought it up? Like, so we're going to cover this? And I'm like, sure. And I'm like, you're just like, what was the term you used? It was hilarious.
I think it was nuts with a Z. I think. I don't know. It was, what did I say? I don't even remember.
It's as crazy as the character Nuts from the Slam and Salmon.
I did not say that.
Well, that's Nuts with a Z, right?
Yes. No, it's wild. It's absolutely insane. The amount of things that are packed into this, the amount of just absolute rubbish and like nonsense. It's insane. At so many levels. So we'll get to it, but reading through it was difficult. It was difficult to say the least.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, like, I don't even know. I don't know what to say about it. It was just flooring. That someone who was, I don't know, I mean, how in contention she really was for the Democratic nomination, but I feel like she was up there for a while. That someone up there would put all this stuff onto paper and commit to this thing, and
So the world's oceans are in crisis. Across the planet, more than 90% of global fish stocks are fully exploited or overfished. Yeah, because they're not private and people steal shit that's not somebody else's. The ocean has absorbed 93% of the heat trapped by greenhouse gases. Interesting. I'm not aware that the greenhouse. I'm not aware that the oceans were that much warmer than they used to be in that road, but okay.
Yeah. So
warming waters, disrupting migration patterns, bleaching coral reefs, and fueling sea level rise. I'm still waiting for the sea level rise, honestly. Like, I would love for all those cities on the coast to go away. God, can you imagine getting rid of? Can you imagine getting rid of California and New York?
Don't say things like that.
In DC?
That's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic.
How is it anti-Semitic?
Talk about. I don't know.
We're from New York.
One time for calling the coastal elite is like a bad thing because I don't know, somehow that's anti-Semitic. That's what I was told. I don't know. It's just Twitter. I don't know.
And I'm racist. They call me racist all the time. Whatever.
Yeah, right. But no, like so bleaching coral reefs. Like I always thought that was like sunblock and stuff. I didn't think that was necessarily like the sun.
I'm gonna be honest.
The water's up. Like, what was that? I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was all of that fucking fertilizer that we dump into the fucking oceans that smother all that shit.
Yeah, but that's like, it's these things that we put into the water. It didn't have anything to do with
I don't.
global warming. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I do know that those things have a lot to do with it.
I mean, I see. Okay, so maybe there's a little carbon in the air. Cool. I can see it pulling a little carbon out of the air. I don't see that being as big a deal as literally the fucking every river on the planet emptying fertilizer on top of fertilizer on top of fertilizer for fucking 100 years.
Yeah.
Like chemicals that we use in war, just dumping them in there. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Like that seems like it might be a more impacting, action.
You think?
Well, no, obviously we're not going to do anything about that because, Monsanto runs the people who would tell them not to do it. But whatever,
No.
You know how much us libertarians just
that's not what it
love
is.
big businesses, right?
So
our coasts are flooding and eroding, threatening the 40% of Americans who live in coastal communities. Then why the fuck do all these rich people continue to buy their houses on the goddamn coasts? Martha's Vineyard isn't empty.
I didn't check that number, but is that right?
Yes, California and New
40%
York.
of Americans. That's insane.
That's why like two cities decide our election every time.
That to me is
it seems like a horrible way to use your land.
I don't know.
But whatever. Everyone wants to live in the cities, bro. No. And then we can talk shit on the people that don't move to cities, who live where they can live a more sustainable life. Weird.
People making your food. Yeah.
Well, Elizabeth Warren is proud to be one of the original co-sponsors of the Green New Deal. But environmental justice and economic justice go hand in hand. And she's committed to making the climate crisis and the inequality crisis top priorities of my administration. As we pursue climate justice, we must not lose sight of the 71% of our planet covered by the ocean. So, I mean, as if the Green New Deal didn't cover everything under the sun, just in case there was some wiggle room, it might miss one industry. We got you covered.
And that's it. Like when she gets in, she starts getting down into the industry and everything. It's like you can't do that. You can't do that. Like you just cannot do that. Like you will end things if you do that. But cover it all. Make a plan for all of it.
Well, we're gonna rebuild our blue economy, Ben.
I know. What does that mean? What does that mean? What is blue economy actually?
Well, what she's telling us is 304 billion of our national GDP is dependent on the 3 billion people around the world who are dependent on wild caught and farm raised seafood as their source of protein. Shouldn't be eating that much of it because all those chemicals we talked about dumped a lot of fucking mercury in the oceans, but whatever. We know we can have a highly productive ocean.
Yeah. Don't eat the tuna, right? All that. Look, mercury, build ocean, up, all that stuff.
Ocean related jobs have grown at 3 times the rate of the national average. So you're telling me that the industry's growing and yet we have less fish. So you want us to continue growing the industry that is causing less fish?
Well, yeah, we feel like that's a mixed jobs, signal. Right? So we're going to have people are going to be artificially inseminating fish and, maintaining fish populations. That's just going to be their job.
So as second heading here, expand offshore renewable energy. As we rapidly transition our economy to 100% clean energy, we must prioritize offshore wind and wave energy. Offshore wind is more consistent than onshore wind and could provide 4 times the present capacity of our grid. I want to see her numbers on that because that's no fucking way that's accurate. Because every place that uses wind doesn't get near their capacity in fucking wind.
I don't know. What is your definition of offshore? like how far out does that extend?
I don't think the offshore matters. My point is that what she's saying it's going
could
to
you
do is a
extend
blatant
it,
lie. Are we just going to have?
Well, if you extend it far enough, right? I'm sure
Well,
if you put it like
how deep is the
thousands of
ocean?
miles,
How deep would the pylons have to be for a fucking?
Oh, we didn't say anything about the pylons. We just said, if you were floating a wind turbine on top of the ocean. But that's like this.
How does that work? I mean, as tall as that thing would have to be. I mean, good Lord.
It doesn't work. That's it, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And if you
it's going to have wires coming out of it for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles.
It would encompass the entire coast. You would not be able to get your boats, and you'd ruin like the whole tourism industry that goes up and down the coast. Like, talk about fish habitat. You're talking about restoring, fish and wildlife and the ecosystem of the ocean. And you're gonna go, put
the
all
only,
these.
The only way they've ever been able to make it work is dumping concrete. Lots and lots and lots of fucking concrete. Concrete that I can't even imagine the amount of concrete it would take to dump all of these fucking towers that they want to dump into the ocean. And you're telling me we need to worry about the fish's habitat? Christ. Like, oh my God. Aside from the fact that it's still completely full of shit, the number it gave for 4 times present capacity of our grid is a blatant lie. I don't want to move off of this webpage to look it up, but like I know offhand that's just not true. Like, I think all the countries over in Europe get like, I think the most like 35%, and it only works during the day. So it's like, who are you kidding here?
And she, I mean, in her defense, she put in wave energy. So I don't know if that wave tidal energy, I guess you could generate something from that. But again, that limits everything else, like where you can take boats, where you like all that stuff. And tidal energy depends on a big tide, and you get down further south, and that, tide levels aren't exactly, it's not efficient, as
we're wasting our time on the wrong part of this. Listen to this. But the Trump administration and government red tape have bogged down existing projects, making development cumbersome and untenable. Okay? This is the Democrat, a lefty, saying that the regulation is making it untenable and encumbered. Followed by, as president, I will work to streamline and fast track permitting for offshore renewable energy. Including making sure projects are cited with care based on environmental impact assessments. So
you're going to fast track that.
You're going to fast track it by adding layers of red tape. Like it's worse than double speak. Like, it's so insane.
Yeah. You have to create a whole new government agency to oversee this, and
the new army for that government agency.
I don't know. Yeah, it's really like, when she got into this whole bit about what she's going to do as president to remove some of this red tape and to well, if that's not enough, Ben, adhere to economic justice,
if none of that works, her green manufacturing plan also calls for a $2 trillion investment to incentivize American-made clean energy that includes offshore wind.
I saw that $2 trillion number, and it just triggered things in me. I was like, man.
I mean, well, it's not even a real number anymore.
In her grave, she's just rolling over right now, saying, "Man, what could I have done with that $2 trillion?"
Oh God, wasn't her like
whole world better place?
Wasn't her overall plan for like 38 trillion added to the national like expenditure?
God, I don't know.
Like, the numbers
it was something absurd.
Were fanciful. Yeah. You could take all of the wealth that we make our entire GDP and not cover everything she wanted to do. Ooh, what's this Green Apollo program? Commits 400 billion.
I didn't look at that, but
connects.
What? I got to go there. I got to interrupt you and go.
Go for it.
Because I do. So back when we were talking about expanding offshore renewable energy,
what did I miss?
and she's talking about making additional federal subsidies or tax benefits for large offshore renewable energy projects. Talking about all this stuff, right? Like creating all these, forcing these companies that are going to build all these things to adhere to certain standards. And then if they don't, she's going to insist on a clawback provision if a company doesn't hold up its end of the deal. Like that is, for me, that's everything right there, right? Like if you don't play by my rules, I am taking your crap. I don't care if you built this. I don't care how much money you put into this. Like I'm going to come and take it. And maybe I change the standards because, I find out that there's this little endangered seahorse off the coast and I want to save it. And now, or maybe, we decide that the minimum wage needs to be $20 an hour or $100 an hour because that will make things better for everybody. And you can't, whatever it is, they're going to change that. And here she has her claws, as she said, her clawback plan, her claws in these businesses ready to scoop them up and turn them into government programs. Like I don't know. That stuck out to me. I just it made me sad. Made me sad.
Oh, so there was
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. There's a sentence I missed in there. The climate crisis is too urgent to let the ultra wealthy complain about wind turbines getting in the way of their ocean views.
Oh God.
Okay. I mean, just throwing that in there to throw it in there. The Green Apollo program commits $400 billion over the next decade to R&D for clean energy, including harnessing power from wave energy, so that it becomes technologically and financially viable. I vaguely remember a president funneling a fuck ton of money to a solar energy initiative. Like, if you want to say it was a couple $1 trillion. Do you remember what happened to that company?
I do not. I do not.
I believe they filed for bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy. Surprise.
I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, so she's earlier in her plan.
We actually have the name, by the way. Her fully funded Bureau of Ocean Energy Management and the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is though, like if you go back and she's talking about transitioning to clean energy, and we're going to be doing all this with offshore wind and wave stuff, and here she is saying, oh wait, we don't know what wave energy is like. We're not there yet. Like we have to develop better wave energy, so we're going to put 400 billion into it. So it's kind of like this apple before the cart thing, right? Horse before the cart thing, where she really wants, we're going to do all this, but first we have to research this, and we're going to put them both in the same time frame, right? We're still going to put 10 years on both of these things, and it will happen because I am your fairy godmother. Like it just doesn't work.
So even if it was there, and even if it was perfect, you still have the fact that it doesn't generate the same way. It's not on command. You're kind of at the whim of how the fucking earth is rotating, or how everything works. And if you're at the whim of that, it means you need to use batteries to store. And you and me have gone over it numerous times.
Talked about batteries.
That current battery technology is incredibly damaging to the environment. And
think about all those poor little children out there, those poor little African children, those racist battery owners. I mean, really, you want to talk about that? Let's talk about that, right?
Yeah, all those Teslas with those.
Who's building? Yeah.
So, build climate-ready fisheries. Threats like warming oceans and overfishing have caused the ocean's fish population to fall by 50% over the last 50 years. And if you made them all private property, that would all end. But it's cascading ecological consequences hurting regional and local economies and risking hunger and even conflict. Fully rebuilding America's fish stocks would support an additional 500,000 jobs and generate an additional 31 billion in sales. So
Jesus,
do we own oceans? Like the last I knew, we don't own oceans. We don't have them segmented off. So what the fuck is this American fish stocks? They're communal fish stocks. I don't know where she's going with that.
I don't know.
Have we worked out a deal with China where like we just split it up? We get half of it, they get half of it.
Look, it's gonna create 500,000 jobs, so don't question it. That's the logic we have to use here. You know, that's the only thing that makes sense. This is for your own good, and everyone's good, so you must accept it.
Only eat the fish that we tell you to eat when we tell you to eat them.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to direct the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's National Marine Fisheries Service to issue new guidance and regulations to better prepare fishing industries and communities for the impacts of climate change. So it sounds like these already exist and aren't doing their jobs if they exist. Seems weird.
To me, they might be doing their jobs, they're just not doing their job the way that Miss Warren would have them do it, if you will. You know, they're not suggesting the same stringent guidelines that Lizzie May. Hey.
Dude, again, I'm just looking at like how far down the page we are, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Elizabeth Warren. Can you like how
do you think she like so
just
when they sit down and write this stuff, right? Does she actually write this, or does there just some like, you know, intern somewhere, some college kid like got nothing to do?
She's got a team of interns.
This up and you know, she's like, yeah, sure. Put my name on it.
Expand.
I mean, like
community-based seafood markets. Okay, so we're gonna expand markets for something that's already overfished.
Well, but they're creating jobs. She's gonna create jobs off that, and because you make jobs, and you know we're gonna have to build it, and there'll be more fish that way.
Dude, here's another one of those beautiful hypocrisies. No, because see, this is the thing. She wants to work to restore America's fisheries and must rebuild the necessary infrastructure to once again support vibrant coastal communities and local seafood economy. So she wants more people on the coasts that are already on the coasts so that they can be murdered when the oceans overflow. I mean, she's trying to move people to the oceans, which is what this sounds like. But I thought one of the reasons we need to stop climate change is so all those people that live on the ocean don't die.
I don't know. I don't understand any logic here. There's just, it doesn't, I don't think it exists.
Well, so here's another fun thing. Today, roughly 1 in 4 fish eaten in the United States waters was caught here, sent to Asia for processing before being re-imported for American consumers. And that I believe. And that right there is your fucking free trade policies dictating how this all works.
Well, there you go. Why is that happen? You know, she's worried about Donald Trump's red tape, putting in, you know, wind turbines. How about this red tape? You know, why does this happen? Why is it anything? Why is it cheaper to do anything like
exactly.
that?
Is it though we have like a similar thing with pork or chicken that goes on right now?
I think it might be both. I'm pretty sure it's at least one of those. I want to say chicken.
Like we grow the livestock, send it over there, they chop it up and ship it back to us.
Yeah, it's cheaper to put it on a boat, ship it overseas to China, have them dress it out, send it back over this way.
It doesn't even make any sense.
The fact that is cheaper is mind-blowing. Just mind-blowing.
It says that we're wasting a lot of money in our agriculture. You know, what do you call it there?
You gotta wonder, is it the regulations on like the processing? Is it the packing? Is it just that they can pay people less? Is it like what is it that makes this more profitable to send products to China or to Asia. Right? It didn't specify China.
Subsidization.
Sent to Asia.
Just gonna fuck up the markets. But hey, she knows how to fix it. $5 billion over the next 10 years to expend the USD's local agricultural market program, funding food hubs, distribution centers, and points of sale. I don't see what that has to do with shipping it over to China and back. There's still, if the fish are being caught here, apparently we already have a vibrant fishing community. There's some reason that we ship them out and then back. It has nothing to do with those communities. Fish don't have to be cut up on the seashore. They can be cut up inland. Why is it cheaper to send them to fucking China and back than to send them to Jersey, to send them to fucking Minnesota? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
She's saying this government NOAA should make it easier for fishermen to sell seafood directly to U.S. consumers. Government can only make it harder. It can never make it easier.
Yeah. How about that? Hey, I always thought NOAA was like the weather people. They make regulations for fish and stuff too. Apparently,
dude, I couldn't. There's so many of these.
I don't know.
So many of these alphabet agencies. I don't even know. So we can invest in regenerative ocean farming. Land-based farmers have long been supported by the USD. Hey, but in a world of rising seas, increasing ocean temperatures, and ocean acidification, we must expand to support include ocean farming as well. Oh, algae and seaweed are the trees of the oceans.
What? Oh my God, my brain is exploding right now.
Well, specifically, she's going to start by directing the USDA to create a new program dedicated to research and policy development for ocean-based farming. So she's going to do R&D for shit that she doesn't exist yet. It seems like she just has, I mean, she has an even more bigger faith in innovation than we do. And we're the free market people.
Yes.
But only the innovation that the government does. Only the innovation the government does, not anyone else's innovation.
But that's the difference, right? Only the state has the intelligence to innovate. People do not. Free market does not. But I mean, it's like land-based farmers have long been supported by the USDA, and they shouldn't be. There shouldn't be that support from the USDA telling farmers to grow bundles and bundles and bundles of wheat, or farmers to pump out gallons of milk that just gets dehydrated and sent to freaking Africa because we have too much of it. But hey, the government will pay you for it, so I guess we'll stay in business. That's what you're gonna do with the ocean. You're gonna do the same thing with the ocean. Great. So, but algae and seaweed are trees of our ocean, absorbing carbon and helping to reduce ocean. So, isn't that like if they're absorbing doesn't warm water, doesn't like all that help plants grow? So isn't like that a good thing then?
Isn't it giving off oxygen?
Right. But I guess they don't get that when you talk about climate evolution. And
no, Ben, they hope you don't notice it.
I don't notice a lot of things, but that I pick up on that.
How about you notice this one? Build climate smart ports. If global shipping were a country, it would be the 6th largest polluter in the world. I really wish it's clickable. Let's click and see where this goes.
No, let's not. It's NPR.
It is NPR. I want to see the list. You just said it'd be the 6th.
Low carbon shipping.
You're not going to give me this is a huge article. They don't even give me the list, it looks like.
Old technology, new economy.
Oh my God.
The technology is all here. There's no reason why we could not make these vessels all zero emission today. That sounds like craziness.
Oh, and I'm looking in this article, seeing respiratory illnesses.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Hydrogen vessels. Ooh, hydrogen vessels in use by 2030. The quest to prove that hydrogen-powered vessels are viable is also underway in Europe.
But okay, so I followed that article to NPR, where it asserts that it would be number 6. It doesn't tell me what the list is, so I have no way to check that.
It doesn't give
doesn't
you any
link to it.
list. There's no list of any sorts in there about.
Surely it has footnotes, right? Oh no, just a bunch of other articles.
No.
That sounds like journalism, though, right?
Yeah, that's how it goes. Clickbait. Liz Warren, you're dirty.
She needs to work towards fully electrifying our ports, reduce harmful air pollution for the millions of people. So we just got to get all that oil out of there. No fossil fuels. We just got to have apparently electric boats everywhere.
How much? So you talk about batteries. You talk. I mean, like I
unionizing jobs and strong wages, comprehensive benefits.
Yeah, she's all about that. All about that. All about that. You can't work if you're not in a union. I mean, like.
Oh, she's not against all that red tape earlier. So she, when she says on the road to electrification, we should also immediately modernize federal trucking rules by reducing idling and congestion, empowering local ports to drastically reduce emissions. That's not going to have any side effects, right?
No, none of this will have any.
All ports are going to have speed reduction zones, which are one of the most efficient ways for vessels to reduce emissions. It's also ways to make it not fucking work because time is money. Whatever.
So, yeah, I would love to see them like mandate governors in all of these things, and your car can't go faster than this. What do you think people would do? You think they just like sit there and take it? I feel like they would. We roll over for everything. What the hell?
Oh, so coastal and marine habitats are often our best defense against a fight against climate change, storing up to 5 times more carbon per acre than tropical forests, while also often acting as cheaper and more effective seawalls. In fact, coastal wetlands reduced damages during Superstorm Sandy by $625 million. It is imperative that we restore our marine habitat to safeguard against future climate impacts, especially as climate change continues to hit our most vulnerable communities first. Where are all these fucking vulnerable communities that have oceanfront property?
Didn't you just get done saying like it's tough titties for the super elite that are going to have wind turbines on their view now, their ocean view, and now we have to protect vulnerable communities? I don't know.
What vulnerable community is anywhere near the fucking ocean?
Look, Obama lives in a vulnerable community, apparently. I don't know.
We must restore damaged marine ecosystems like Florida's mangroves, which have been destroyed by urban coastal development. Okay, didn't she just say she wants to develop the coasts like 2 paragraphs before this? God, she's going to fully funding the NOAA's coastal and estuarine land conservation program.
This is it. It's mind numbing. I think she planned that. Like, we're probably the only 2 people in this entire world that have like read through this and been like,
oh, dude, it's about to get, they want that civil service army, right? 21st Century Civilian Conservation Corps, which will hire 10,000 young people and veterans for new job opportunities, caring for our natural resources. And she's going to make polluters pay. Her Department of Justice will go after fossil fuel companies and other industry bad actors who have harmed our ocean ecosystems. I would just say, why don't you stop subsidizing them? Why don't you stop sending people to die overseas to protect the oil fields? Just fucking stop doing all that.
But if we do that,
it might actually fix the problem. Not paper over that you're going to fix the problem.
Just like think about that. Just I mean, like the statement she just made is like, it's just moronic. It's just like idiotic. It has no sense to it.
So we were just talking about protecting those marine areas, and she wants to expand those areas too. We need more of them.
I I don't even get it. I don't even get it. Like what I'm reading your plan and I don't understand. Like I need you to explain like your plan. Your plan needs a plan, like because your plan does not work. Your plan is
Meanwhile,
absolute garbage.
raising profits for neighboring fisheries and tourism industries. Do you hate capitalists or what? Like, I thought everything you said so far makes me think you hate capitalism. So why are you caring about profits? Profits are excess wasted money. Like we shouldn't have any profits.
No, profits belong to the state. They belong to everyone around you because that's how it works.
Invest in marine carbon sequestration. Not all carbon in the ocean is bad. Blue carbon, or carbon stored in ocean and coastal ecosystem, is naturally sequestered by coral reefs and oyster reefs. Mangrove.
Blue car. Is that like blue steel? Does that have a look? Can we have a look that goes with it?
Maybe.
Does Lismore have one?
Mangrove forests and kelp forests, as well as seagrass beds and wetlands. If managed correctly, the ocean can continue to naturally sequester carbon. I will issue an executive order directing NOAA to build a domestic blue carbon program that will support ocean-based carbon sequestration. But I thought it raises the fucking temperature of the ocean. That's you wanted to stop it. So because she's also going to direct NOAA to map and establish blue carbon zones in federal water. What federal fucking waters?
She's going to take them. She's going to make them federal waters. They are going to become blue carbon zones.
The National Science Foundation. That just sounds like something a fucking 3-year-old would say. What kind of science?
That's where Bill Nye works. That's where Bill Nye works.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So, yeah, she wants to give him more money to fucking lie kids.
I have no idea. But I can imagine Bill Nye, the National Science Foundation. This is like, oh, God. This is right. Like, so if temperatures go up, there's more green stuff growing, and doesn't that sequester more carbon? Isn't that the same thing kind of with like the water? Like you're gonna have more green things growing in the water, and maybe there's a little less. I don't know. I actually saw something not too long ago about an oyster. I think it was oysters growing off of Governor Island in New York City that were helping to kind of clean out the Hudson a little bit. So they're there, but I don't know, forcing growth. God, this stuff makes me so sick, and I can't even keep it all straight because there's just so much like rubbish that bounces off.
So much contradiction.
Itself. Yeah, I'm like lost. But you said this over here, you said that over there, you said this over here, and none of it like jives, man.
Well, we got to the important one. We're going to end offshore drilling. It's done. No more oil.
Well, if you pour concrete everywhere, it won't be shore anymore.
I guess that's true. If you pave the entire fucking ocean with your concrete for windmills.
Pave paradise.
Why don't we just have them put the windmills on the oil barges?
You would think that, right? Couldn't you do that if you had like a big old boat? One of those.
They're gonna stop leases out there. So you take that, all you countries in Africa that rely on cheap oil, you take that.
They're gonna go to, yeah.
Well, hey, on the positive, Saudi Arabia ended the fracking industry in America. It's now too expensive to compete.
That's what I was going to say, but
maybe that's why they go there.
But
maybe that's why they like them so much. They're just there to help out the Saudi Arabians.
For all the worry and concern that people are doing business in China, that Saudi Arabia and the Middle East are going to come steal our babies and cut our throats. You're going to end offshore drilling. So, who are those countries going to be buying oil from? Right? When you cut that business out, where's that business going to go? It's all going to go to those people that you're so worried and concerned about. So are we really worried and concerned about, Russia and Saudi Arabia or not? I don't know. But
reduce ocean trash. By 2050, there could be more plastic by mass in the sea than fish. Ocean trash is getting incorporated into the marine food chain, even ending up in the fish on our plates and in the sea salt we use to season it. To make matters worse, there are over 300 new petrochemical plastic facilities slated to come online in the U.S., and many of these mega polluters are cited for low-income communities and communities of color. Well, yeah, but that's because all of you congressmen made sure that if they were going to exist, they were going to be jobs for the people you need to vote for you.
Yeah. That's how that goes, right?
Yeah.
If you want to put somebody, I'm kind of curious. I wonder.
Oh, they're gonna get rid. Oh, this will be especially nice considering it now. They're gonna get rid of single-use plastic bags.
I love it. I love it. I went to the store the other day because I have a bunch of like reusable bags that have been given to me, and I'll use them when I don't need bags for my toilet trash cans. And I brought my like regular bags to the grocery store. I got like chewed out by a couple different people. Like, you ain't supposed to, we're not supposed to put your groceries in there. It's like, it's okay. I'm okay. Just put them in the damn bag. Leave my bags in the car and they'll bake for an hour and it'll be all right. I promise. It was nuts, man. It was nuts. But
hey, let's just add this. Coincidentally, this only has one paragraph. We're gonna hold big ag accountable for upstream pollution. The agribusiness, with their overuse of pesticides and fertilizers, are responsible for polluting hundreds of thousands of miles of upstream waterways that flow downstream into our bays, oceans. And I agree. And you're never going to stop it because they have people instilled in every single position that of regulation you could possibly have.
Yeah. Well, once
that
again,
part's never going to change.
Once again, you're going to go after the same businesses that you're subsidizing. Just keep the money in your pocket in the very beginning. How about that?
But Ben, we need to have people in there that are experts in the field, and who's a better expert than the people that do the polluting?
I guess you're probably right.
Well, we are, and that's why they set those numbers just high enough to look mean, look like we're really sticking it to them, but not actually affect anything.
Yeah.
Collective management of our international waters.
God, this reminds me of freaking Lincoln Chafee going on about being responsible to the whole world. We gotta work together to decide things. Like, why is this necessary? When has this ever worked?
She's going to work with Congress to ratify the law of the sea treaty so that we are party to the international law and can work towards updating provisions. So
she's a pirate.
No, what she is she's someone who's really into that South Pacific or was it South Pacific Partnership or whatever? Trans-Pacific Partnership?
TPP?
Yeah, because that's all it was. Yeah, that thing that just got passed under another name. And it's a treaty, so, it's binding law to us, but we don't actually get to affect it, like all what the rules are added once we say we're part of it. So they can kind of go and change all the rules they want to in it, and we just kind of have to abide by them as our new laws.
That's just standard government.
Yeah,
Just standard.
She's going to follow Governor Inslee and the state of Washington in joining the International Alliance to Combat Ocean Acidification, a global coalition of national, subnational, and indigenous jurisdictions, NGOs, businesses, and other partners dedicated to taking action to protect coastal communities and livelihoods from the threat of ocean acidification. Once again, rejoin the Paris Agreement.
There it is. That's what this whole thing was about, isn't it? She just wants to get us back into the Paris Agreement.
Us leaving hasn't affected anything, and
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. In fact, it's continued trending downward, has it not?
Yeah, it's weird that we just actually give a shit about it as people, so we're doing it anyways. We don't need the government to be involved in it. Companies know that if they find out when we find out they're polluting, we're gonna fillet them and stop buying the products. I don't know.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. It's I don't know. A lot of this stuff, like it boggles me to think that, like, because it's every single thing is for these communities that are hard hit or vulnerable, as they like to call them, or whatever it is. And that's all it seems to be about. Like, we're going to protect them, but there's no rationale behind the protecting. Like, why? How is this actually protecting, or what are we going to do to actually protect, other than just create some treaty or some alliance, or run some study or something stupid? It's just, none of it is I don't know. None of it's accessible.
Well, part of adapting to this is that we need to deal with the fact that the oceans are rising and rising fast.
Quickly, very quickly. I know.
I don't know. I know we adjusted to Florida being underwater already. Okay, we miss it dearly.
Do we though?
No, I know. Fuck that entire state. I probably hate it more than New York for very different reasons, but I can hate it because it's still there.
I don't mind. I don't mind Florida. I would miss Florida if it disappeared, I think.
It's too hot and too wet, and just I'm not a tropics kind of guy. I'm not built for that.
Well,
I'm just much like everything Elizabeth Warren does. Like, it's long-winded, and I don't care about it. It's not even fun anymore ragging on this.
mm-hmm.
Pre-disaster mitigation. Now it's a prevention for the pound of cure, and she wants to ensure we protect 40% of America. Once again, these coastal communities.
What is that? Why? Like, is it the fear of like global warming? Like, what is that? Why are they more important than other communities? I don't know.
Post-disaster mitigation. Oh, this is what's funny, because I know why this happens. Studies show that the white and wealthy receive more federal disaster aid despite being comparatively better off financially when it comes to withstanding a disaster. Might that be because those are the fucking coastal people that have the disasters happen to them? You keep saying that we want to protect these disenfranchised coastal communities that don't fucking exist. It's white, wealthy people that then capitalize when they built their houses in places they never should have fucking built them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to talk about environmental justice? Let the wealthy fucking people lose their homes, or pay the insurance for what it should actually be for those areas.
And that's what it comes down to, right? Is that get out of there. And you know what? There are ways that they would protect their homes. It's called insurance. Like, if you have a mortgage, you're going to have insurance.
But they need to pay, not us.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. They need to do it. I don't know, man.
Oh, flood insurance reform.
No. Oh God. Flood insurance is like, when I lived in Vermont, we lived kind of near the river, and
this is the first sensible thing I've seen. Basically, it's saying we're not going to let them rebuild their homes where they were in a floodplain. Because, up until now, they've just been rebuilding in the floodplain.
But that's it. Like who, if you want to build your home in a floodplain, by all means, go ahead and do so. Don't make me subsidize it for you. If you want to pay the insurance on it, go for it. If that means you're going to put your house on stilts, go for it. If that means you're going to like build some crazy wall around your house, go for it. I don't care, but don't make me pay for it. Because you can. I've seen, and like, you think about some of these places. Like, I was in Vermont just after what was the one? Sandy, Irma? I don't know. One of them came through and like totally put places underwater that, hadn't been underwater in generations, right?
How is that possible? Because the next thing is we're managing for drought. Oh, the ocean's going to cover everything, but we're managing for fucking droughts. And essentially their way of dealing with drought is to subsidize these places. You know what happens when you subsidize shit? More people move there. Exactly. Stop subsidizing it. Let the deserts be deserts, and people move the fuck out of them.
Yeah, you gotta wonder, like, what would that look like, right? If the people that you subsidized left, right? Like if you took that away and people left, someone no doubt would come in there, right? Somebody would come in there, buy that cheap land or whatever, and figure out a way to make it habitable, right? To make it so that they could live in there. They could make ends meet while living there. And that's where your innovation is going to come from, not from subsidizing people to live where they shouldn't live, using the same means that everyone else uses to live in standard areas,
All right, we are finally to the last thing on this. God, this has been so long. She never just keeps going, and it's all insane. Or on the last one, investing in our Great Lakes.
That's your favorite, right?
The Great Lakes Basin is home to over 80% of North America's surface freshwater and over 10% of the U.S. population, depending on drinking water from the Great Lakes. But the Great Lakes are in trouble, from climate change to invasive species like zebra mussels and carp to toxic algae blooms that can be traced back to pollution from agricultural runoff. We must invest in our Great Lakes so they can continue to support their seven. What is investing? Stop. What you need to do is stop using fucking pesticides and agricultural runoff. Stop it. That's it. Stop investing. Just stop. Like, what do you need? More money to do less? Is that what we need? How does that work? More money to do less.
That is how the government runs. Because you got to have you have to have a branch, a department to do that, and that's going to cost more. I don't understand. I don't know because the Great Lakes, like, you think about some of that stuff. Some of those zebra mussels and carp are not carp necessarily. Some carp are invasive, and while zebra mussels didn't do it, how did the carp get there? Sometimes, a lot of times, some of this stuff is government introduced stuff. Some of these invasives are brought in to take care of a problem, and they end up doing more than taking care of the problem.
Stocking and hatcheries and all that shit. Yes. So nuts, as you said, with a Z. That's what this plan is. That continues to contradict itself at every fucking turn, blatantly lie where it can. Trust me, like I've said it before, the oceans are something I care about deeply, and all of our problems stem from our agriculture system, which has got the big stamp of approval from the feds to give all of that agricultural runoff as much as we can into the oceans, because we use more of it every year because it doesn't work as good as it did last year.
Yep, that's how it goes. I mean, that's the way it goes, right? It said it just piles on. You gotta use more and more of it.
Did you call me Paisan?
I did not.
Oh, okay. So, all right, we gotta go. This is gonna be too much editing because this fucking thing is crazy long, and Elizabeth Warren is insane.
Well,
but we dodged a bullet. On the
positive side, we don't have to deal with it. Yeah,
unless Biden chooses her for a running mate, which I hope to Christ he doesn't. We know he's picking a woman. I mean, I still think that they're going to lose because Biden is a rapist, apparently.
He's a crazy dude. He's got a new podcast coming out. Well, that's you would think that like his senility would just destroy any chance he has, but apparently not. I don't know.
I don't know what could possibly do it at this point. They just seem bound and determined to reelect Trump. We're never talking about elected officials again on this program. We were supposed to have somebody running for president on last week, but we got stood up. I'm not too bummed about it. The week off was nice.
Yeah. Would have been an interesting conversation, no doubt. But
so, all right, folks. Well, if there's something you want to hear us talk about, please let us know. We're always looking for new show ideas. We've got a couple in the bank right now that I think are going to be fun once we get going. But it's always more fun to kind of talk about the things people want us to talk about. That way we don't have to sit here and waste our time talking about Elizabeth Warren. She's not even running anymore.
Oh, thank God.
So,
what do you think? She's having beers with random people now?
Drinking with her husband?
Yeah.
Looking normal? Totes normal, guys.
Just put some feathers in her hair.
Good Lord. I mean, we should have expected the blatant lies. I mean, her entire campaign was much of that. So,
yeah.
So, hopefully next episode we're gonna do talking about this documentary I watched. I'm going to continue bugging Ben until he fucking watches it.
I will do it. I will do it. I have 7 days to do it. 6 days to do it. I will do it.
It's so good. And like you're gonna watch it and you're gonna be so angry and so excited all at the same time.
I don't like those feelings. I don't like to be angry. I like to be excited.
Apparently Ben doesn't. Ben's like, that's why I'm drinking right now. That's why this beer is here, so I don't have to feel anything. That's the point.
Oh man.
So
yeah, something like
that. Folks, stop on by freemarketscreenearth.com to check out the show notes and links and stuff. You can also hear me over at Peace Freaks or This Week in Liberpods. Ben, you can listen to over at the Homesteads and Homeschools podcast. Aside from that, we hope you guys all have a good one. Take it easy.
Peace. I'm gonna stop.